Hi, this is Andres, and today I want to show you an alternative way of using business workflows I like to use. So let's start right away with how this looks. Um, this is a business workflow, and if in case you are not familiar, this is a way to drive the actions of a user in the context of a record inside a form in a model-driven application. What we do is configure certain stages, and this can be done using this old school Dynamics screen where you configure what the stages are going to be. So first we have an order approval, then we have a condition. If the order is approved, then fulfill order. If not, reject order, and here mark the order as fulfilled, and that would be the final stage. This would also be a final stage, but via this branch over here. So what we are going to show is that only changing the status reason, the business process flow, these circles that we see here are going to be changing automatically without user interaction with these controls over here. Here we have some controls out of the box when you configure a business process flow where the user is able to select next stage, change the fields. We don't want to allow that. What we want to do is just by changing the status reason, status code, the business process flow is going to be changing by itself. So let's try it out. We have here, let's put it as order approved, okay? And what we're going to do is hit save. And now I'm refreshing the screen. And if I refresh, we see that here, order approval, this stage has been marked as complete. And now the active stage is this one, fulfill order. So in this map over here, this has been completed, and now we are in here. What we want to do is now, if I click into order fulfilled, this is going to be the final stage in here, right? So what we would expect is that when I hit save, this circle here is going to be checked, just like this one. And in here, because it's the final stage, we will see this banner marking that the business process flow is complete. So I'm going to hit save, and then I'm going to refresh again. And here we go. This is fulfilled with this banner signaling that this is completed. Okay, now let's take a look at the code, because all this is done via JavaScript. And before we do a deep dive, this is the actual stuff that is happening. So we need a couple of calls to the web API using the process object over here. And this is the only code that we need, very few lines of code. But before explaining the whole JavaScript here, we need to understand how business process flows work behind the scenes. So we're in the solution, and we are going to understand now the anatomy of the components that compose a business process flow. So we have the actual table. This is the table that we're visualizing here in this form. And then this table is the actual table that holds all the business process flow instances. Okay, so we have several records in this table, right? 3 in this case, and each of these records have their own business process flow instance, and these instances are stored, persisted in this table. And then of course, third component is the business process flow itself, which is this thing that we are seeing in the old school Dynamics editor. To make things a little bit more confusing, we need to understand that this business process flow that we create using this editor is actually stored in a different place that we don't see from there, and it's we go here to tables. Each environment has their own set of tables, and there's a table called workflows process workflow. This table holds all the Power Automate flows, business process flows, workflows, old school Dynamics workflows inside this environment. And why is this important to know? Because in the code, what we need to tell the business process flow is, hey, when the status is whatever it is right now, let's say that we are in status approved, then you have to put yourself in this stage, right? So what do we need to know from the JavaScript code is where we are at, what is this instance of the business process flow, what is the code for each of these stages, and move my stage accordingly based on this status reason over here. So now we're going to use a different tool to see how to get all the IDs necessary to program this JavaScript code. Alright, so now we've moved to a tool called XRM Toolbox, and it's a toolbox with lots of tools inside created by the community. And that, well, if you don't know this tool, it's incredible. It has plenty of useful tools that will allow you to perform different actions with a Dataverse, any Dataverse environment. For example, there's one I like that allows you to create fetch XML schemas, or that allows you to create whole tables using an Excel template file I started using recently. And this one over here is one of my favorite ones, SQL for CDS. Okay, let's take a look. SQL, this tool over here, what it allows you is to create queries, select queries, but also update and insert or delete queries, very interesting, against Dataverse tables. So use the Dataverse instance with a SQL-like syntax. I've prepared already these queries over here, and what we're going to see is first all these workflow table I was telling you about. So let's hit execute only for the whole table over here. Okay, so I get in here, say execute, and it's going to show all the flows, business process flows inside my environment. And what I want to do is only show the business process flow that I want to see, called workflow fake business process flow for table example. And this is the information that we have. So this is the demonstration that there is actual record that holds our business process flow implementation. Now, all the stages for this workflow, so for this business process flow, where can we see these stages? Where are they stored? Because in the end, this business process flow implementation is a set of records inside tables that configure the whole thing. And here in this table called process stage is where we can find these stages. And here we are going to filter by our actual business process flow, because here we would see all the stages for all the existing business process flows in the environment. And what if we do this, we'll see exactly 4 stages, which matches what we have in here, right? So we have 4 stages, right? This one doesn't come because it's a conditional, this is not a stage. And this is what we can see in this table. And here, these IDs correspond to each of the, each of these boxes. Okay, one of them is not visible because it's the only shows when the status is rejected. And if you want to verify that, we can go to inspect elements and actually put our cursor over here. Okay, we will see where is my business process flow here. Where am I? Allow me to pick this up. Here we go. This ID 8 something. Let me zoom in a little bit. So this ID over here, 836, and with AB7 should correspond to this one over here. I don't remember which one it is. This one over here, exactly. 836, AB7. So we can actually get the IDs from the front end as well, because in the end, well, it is the way the front end is built. Okay, and then the missing piece is how can we know which is my current instance of the business process flow? Because we have now the information from the business process flow definition and the information from the what are these stages for any business process flow. But what about the current business process flow that we are seeing in this screen right now? So this is held, as we mentioned, in this table. Where is the table? In this table. So whenever you create, so from here, new automation process, when you create a business process flow over here, behind the scenes, the system is going to create a table with the name that you have given to the business process flow. And this table, in this case, has this logical name. And if we query that, this table over here, only this part of the query, we see that we have 3 different instances of the business process flow, which should match, of course, all the records that we have for this table. So the table fake BPF has each of these records an instance of the business process flow associated to it. Why these many tables intertwined? Because you can virtually have different business process flow associated with each of these records. So let's say for example, for this record, we could have different business process flows, up to 10 simultaneously to each row. This is you can check this out in the actual documentation from Microsoft. Now, if we go back to our record that we created and we pick the ID from the URL, right, for this record, and we filter in here, and we select, we will see test English video. This is the actual record that we are using right here. And the important field that our JavaScript code is going to work with is this traverse path. This traverse path holds for this instance of the business process flow all the path, all the steps that we've done for it. So if you let me zoom in here, if you see, we have for each of the stages, we have stage, comma, stage, then comma, and then as many as we have gone through with this instance of the business process flow. So what does our JavaScript code need to do is basically get the context from the form. So we are in this record, right? Then get what is my instance of the business process flow, and then based on the status code, I want to change the traverse path to match the one that I want to display to the user here. Now, how does this work then in the code? So first, what I have here is just mapping objects. I designed this JavaScript this way so that if you just change this part of the code, the rest of it that goes below will work regardless for your use case, and you only need to preoccupy of changing these values for your particular use case. Okay, so let's go line by line. What we usually do is, of course, get the form context. We need the status code, the status reason, because this is the value that we're going to use to decide what's the traverse path going to be. And then, of course, what is the record ID that we are visualizing in the form right now. And then we have this mapping object. Okay, so for each of the different status reasons, status codes, so a new order received, order rejected, order approved, and order fulfilled, we're going to have a different stage ID. Right, so these stages over here, we go back to the XRM Toolbox. These stages, each one has one ID, and this is what we have here, right? So for, let's pick order approved. This is the code for the status reason. This is the stage, target stage, the stage that this bullet, the circle in the business process flow has, and then the traverse path is what's the steps that the business process flow needs to do in order to arrive to this stage. So first we go we go through this first one and then comma the target one. And we are also storing if this is final or not. We'll see why in a moment. So basically, what do we have here? Let's pick order fulfilled, for example. Target stage, this one. Traverse path is we've gone through, this is new order, this is order approved, and finally order fulfilled. Okay, and then we need to store as well in this configuration object over here. Here we go. What is the entity name? What entity name? The table that holds all the business process flow instances. And the lookup column, this is the column that matches this instance with my table. So just show it in the system. So for this business process flow instance, this will have one ID, and this is stored in this table, right? And in order to match from this table which one is the specific business process flow instance for my ID of this table over here, we have a column, and this column you can see in here, it's called it's always going to be the name of my table. Let's take a look. Name of my table, ID, and BPF underscore. So this is going to be the name of my logical name of my table, and then we add ID and BPF as a prefix and postfix, suffix. Well, this way, when we execute this query, this is our instance ID. Okay. Now, what the code needs to do is then, okay, so with these configuration objects, which is going to be static and particular to each implementation, so you will have a different table, logical name, you will have different stages for your own business process flow, then the code is going to be always the same. So first we check if there is an actual implementation of the business process flow, and then what we have to do is, let's take a look here. We get what is the mapping object depending on the status code that we've gotten in here, the current status code for the record. We are going to get which one of it is, right? So for example, this one over here. Okay, so this is the object that we're going to be working with. Now, what we need to also check is, does the current stage of the business process flow instance match the one that I would expect for this particular status code? In other words, so if the status code is order fulfilled, I would expect to be in here. I wouldn't expect to be in here, right? But if let's say that I haven't yet gone to this status because I haven't yet moved there, or I open this this record and I'm already here, I don't want to move anywhere because I'm already in the place I should be. So that's what we are checking here. So if the current BPF stage matches the one that we are expecting, then if it doesn't, then we need to move. If it matches, then well, we only need to check if this process, the state that I am right now, is final or not. If it's final, then we set up the business process flow was finished, and this is going to finalize the business process flow and put this flag. And then here let me exactly now. Here the code is very simple. So we have to get what is my business process flow instance. We have to do a retrieve multiple because we don't know what is the business process flow instance ID at this moment. What we only know is what is my record ID. So, but we are going to have one, and then what we do is update the record, put in the traverse path. What traverse path? The one that is configured in this object, configuration object, and that's that. If that happens, then just perform the operation, and that's that. Nothing else. from this code. So that's going to fulfill this moving, so setting this traverse path property for depending on the status reason that we have selected. Of course, this can be automated. So let's say that we have a custom button or some action, something happens behind the scenes with a power automated flow, and that is going to change the business process flow. Why? Because it will change the status code, and then the next time the user gets into the application, opens the form, it will automatically move the business process flow to the actual stage that we want. Of course, this can be also done behind the scenes with Power Automate, and that will be absolutely okay as well, but we are doing this from the front end in this case because it's controlled by the user action instead of just the back end. Well, and that's that. I hope I did a good job explaining this topic. I know it's pretty deep into the technical stuff, but well, this is a useful way to present things in module apps. I hope it serves you well for your next project. Let me know in the comments what you think. What would you do differently? And well, please subscribe, hit the thumbs up. It helps a lot, and see you in the next one.